Monica Crowley was patiently listening with us as it relates to the president and his address from the White House today. She's a senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research. Interesting, the Center for American Progress is telling Democrats, don't talk about immigration. It's a bad, just change the topic. That's their words, not mine.
Yeah, Sean, hi. Yeah, because they're looking at the poll numbers, too, on this issue. And what I think is finally dawning on them is that of the many reasons why Donald Trump was elected president in 2016, and there were many reasons, but perhaps the biggest was his stand on illegal immigration, enforcing existing laws, building the border wall, ending catch and release, ending the visa lottery program, and doing what he has pledged to do. And now that we see these caravans with, thousands of people getting ready to storm our southern border, he's actually putting his money where his mouth is. He's deploying the U.S. military and military equipment to the southern border. And everybody around the world, including those in this caravan, Sean, know that there's a new sheriff in town, and this president means what he says and says what he means.
The interesting thing is people say this is false, this is phony, this is not real, there's this talk of they're invading. Well, if you look at the video, and we showed a lot of it on Hannity, when they got to the Mexican border, we saw what they did to the fence down there. We saw that they didn't listen to the small contingent of Mexican police down there, and they rushed across the border. And for the president to say, well, they're 4 weeks out, I'll deal with it when it comes and when it happens, well, that would be irresponsible. And let me be very clear. I probably think 99%, maybe more, of the people in that caravan, I'll be very blunt, I think they're people that come from very poor countries that have little hope and opportunity in their own lives. And they look at America the way we should all look at America, as a land of opportunity and milk and honey and prosperity and, a better life for themselves and their families. One of the big problems that they have is we can't vouch for any one of those people that would like a better life. If you want to come to America, the first priority and requirement needs to be that you respect our laws, you respect our borders, you respect our sovereignty, and we just need to have the opportunity to vet you, to make sure that you come here with good intentions for our country, you don't have a troubled background, and that you have the means to be able to take care of yourself while you're here. There's a study that came out, I cited earlier in the program, it's $70,000 per illegal immigrant. When we look at the educational, health care costs, criminal justice costs associated with some, and it is a cost we can no longer bear. And again, if we had the wall, we wouldn't have to be worried about the caravan and God forbid anybody on either side getting hurt, because I don't want that either.
Yeah, and this is an issue that crosses party lines, which of course frustrates the far left because they want to paint anybody who opposes the president's positions on these issues, Sean, as racists and bigots somehow. Actually, the president's stand on this issue, as you just pointed out, Democrat Claire McCaskill out of Missouri, who's in the fight of her life, is probably going to lose next Tuesday. She's trying to outwardly adopt the president's position on this because she knows, they all know, that this issue doesn't just motivate Republicans or conservatives. It motivates independents, it motivates a lot of Democrats, and it motivates a lot of minority groups like blacks and Latinos and, frankly, women, because they have been losing out in terms of job opportunities and so on because of the shadow economy that's been created over many decades by the illegal immigrant problem. When Trump was running in 2015, 2016, he promised to get control of a long, out-of-control illegal immigration nightmare. And that position was able to allow him to create this brand new voting constituency. It accelerated the realignment that we're still seeing. And frankly, Sean, I don't think the realignment is done yet. I think we're going to see a realignment on Tuesday that is continuing. It's Trump-led, but it's bigger than Donald Trump. And this one issue of illegal immigration, sovereignty, rule of law, respect for the American taxpayer, respect for the American worker, that issue crosses party lines, and it's something that I think is redefining our politics and will well into the future, because finally we've got a president who puts his money where his mouth is and is willing to put the military on the border and enforce existing laws.
I don't think any of this is complicated, and I think the president was very articulate, and I think that putting aside every other issue, I think it's a winning issue politically because the people believe in American sovereignty, the rule of law, border security. And we're not saying we don't want people to come. I like the idea of a border wall to protect both sides, and also one with a door where we can expedite the process for people to come in. And I think people need to prove the things that we're talking about, that they come with good intentions and they have the ability to sustain themselves. All right, you were more optimistic than me in terms of the elections, and I just want to run through really quickly. So in Florida, what do you see happening with Scott and DeSantis?
Well, I think, look, the governor's race, you mean DeSantis and Gillum?
Yeah, we're going to go through these quick. I'm sorry, DeSantis and Gillum. Well, I was really talking about Rick Scott and his race against Nelson and
Bill Nelson. Yeah, I think that might be a split race. I think that Rick Scott may win the Senate seat, but DeSantis might lose. I hope that's not the case. Again, this gets to turnout. We need every Republican, every independent, every disaffected Democrat to come out in Florida. It is a swing state going into 2020. It's critically important that we hold the governorship. Frankly, many governorships across the country, we need to win, because that will have a huge effect on how these states move forward going into 2020.
How do you think? Well, I think it's pick'em, both in the governor's race, although this new tape is devastating of Gillum, and they ended up firing as a result of Project Veritas. We'll talk to James O'Keefe at the bottom of the half hour, but devastating towards him. Do you agree with me? Ted Cruz wins Texas, probably by a pretty comfortable margin.
Yes, handily. Texas is still red.
And let's go to Tennessee. Marsha Blackburn has run a great campaign. Bredesen exposed also by Project Veritas. His campaign thinking the people of Tennessee are ignorant and they're just saying things to get elected, and including he's saying when he said he'd vote for Judge Kavanaugh. So who wins that race? Yes,
I think Marsha Blackburn, who is phenomenal, I think she wins that race. I think Tennessee is still a center-right state. And it's interesting, Sean, because Bredesen has been exposed as a liberal, as so many of these.
All right, but I got to keep going. And what about Missouri? Claire McCaskill, does she lose to Josh Hawley?
She goes down.
What about Arizona? Kristen Sinema, finally polled today. I've been waiting for this. The woman that supports Americans joining the Taliban after 9/11. She is down 7 now to Martha McSally.
McSally will win. Arizona, yes, is a changing state, but is still center-right.
And Dean Heller holds Nevada. Tough state, but he's up.
Tough race. Very narrowly, he wins.
Now that the Libertarian has bailed in Montana, I do believe it was a 3-point race before that, and the Libertarian now supporting the Republican, Rosendale, against John Tester, pretty much a Schumer Democrat. Does John Tester lose?
Yes.
Wow, you're making that prediction.
Yes.
All right, what about Indiana? Joe Donnelly made some really incendiary comments in the debate last week. Oh, I have people of this background and this background, but they actually do a good job.
But they do a good job. Can you imagine if
they do a good job.
Said this, Sean?
Well, you got a Libertarian, though, running in Indiana who's still in the race and, drawing 4 points away from Braun, who's a great candidate.
Yeah, look, Indiana is a red state, so if I were to guess, I think Braun wins.
Okay, now let's stay in West Virginia. Manchin, does he hold?
Well, like Bredesen, they try to position themselves as moderate, Sean. Manchin is actually the one Democrat I could actually get with because he actually is an independent thinker. That race has gotten extremely tight. I think that's a toss-up.
What about the House? Conventional wisdom, Republicans hold the Senate, split decision, pick up seats, as you're saying, and lose the House. Nancy Pelosi wins. What do you say to that?
I have never bought into the conventional wisdom, Sean. I have said on your program on TV and here for a while now that I think the Republicans retain the House narrowly, but it does depend on turnout. So we need every Republican, independent, and disaffected Democrat to come out between now and Tuesday and vote for their Republican in their district and in their state.
I would say we're down in the House, but, you know, I try, I'm just looking at the numbers, but in the age of Trump, the numbers don't mean what they used to. So I do have that caveat. All right, Monica Crowley, thank you.